Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. I'm your host, Martel. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. Today we have Trent from the Miami Heat Network. We have Amir from Team to Beat Miami Heat. And then we also have ChillTown. But before we begin ChillTown, just let the people know where can they find you and where can they also find you like on any other platforms.
Well, good to see you guys. I appreciate you having me on today. I'm on TikTok, ChillTown Hoops. That's one place you can find me. I'm also right here on YouTube, ChillTown Hoops. Every Monday to Friday, 11 to 2 on the panel on the Players Choice Network. You can find me there. I'm on TikTok live every morning from 9 a.m. on. And then I'm on Saturdays at 12 o'clock, me and my man Big Ox, we do a show called Chill with Chill at 12 o'clock Eastern. So I'm not hard to find, guys.
So ChillTown, right now, the Miami Heat, we are 8th in the Eastern Conference. We're 14-11. We had a pretty good start, new offense. Just before we start diving into different players, what do you think about the Miami Heat so far this season?
I was pleasantly surprised at what I had seen. I know that we had an issue with Orlando, but I think that this offense has been so much better than what it is in the past. I know that y'all looking at the standings and going, yo, they in 8th place. Just so y'all know, y'all game and a half out the 3rd spot. Just so you know, it's a game and a half. We could go in a week. We could go from being in the play-in tournament to hosting the playoff series. Now, I think that the Miami Heat are a 6. I think they're around between a 5 and a 7 seed. That's where I think that they are. But the thing that I have been the most impressed with, which I haven't seen in the past, I'm seeing more this season, is how much faster you guys are playing, how much more the pace of the game has picked up for you guys. I think one of the main reasons why that's happened is because the new coach that you got from Memphis, he's now sped the game up. So I think that's a big-ass deal. A huge deal for the Miami Heat. I never understood why you guys didn't play this fast in the past, considering how good your defense was. I'm like, why don't they play faster? Is it because Jimmy was slowing you guys down? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, with like Jimmy, he really didn't want to run closer to the end of his, tenure with Miami. So obviously you kind of have to play the way your superstar wants to play. But yeah, that was pretty much it. But go ahead, Trent.
Yeah, chill, man. Listen. I think 20, they're like 25, 24 games into the season, and that's like 1-4 for the year, you could say. And we learned a lot about this team so far, right? Obviously, new offense, like you said, the new addition of Norman Powell, Tyler. Tyler missed majority of the season, is back, got injured again, but is officially good with that toe injury. My question is for you, Chill, and we haven't seen enough games, but we've seen some games, and it's not looking good, right? Miami's on a 4-game losing streak. They can't beat Orlando. They're losing the season series 3-0. But do you think Tyler and Norm can figure it out, or do you think one of these players is just going to have to go on the bench? Because, Tyler's always going to get the blame no matter what. Like when your team is winning without you and then you come back and you start losing, even though it necessarily might not be all his fault, he's going to get the blame. And when I've seen Tyler and Norm play together so far, I don't like the fit. I really don't like the fit. And especially when this team's playing so small, when you got, Ware not even playing the 5 at moments because Spo refuses to play him in big games. I don't understand why. They have Bam at the 5 and then you have Wiggs at the 4 with Tyler and Norm. It's just not – I don't like the gel. But do you think they can figure it out? Because at the end of the day, this is the team that we have, unless a big trade happens, to go far in the East.
I do think that you can figure it out. One of the main reasons why you play as fast as you do is because of Davion Mitchell. I think what he does in terms of a defender, I think he speeds you guys up, whether the ball is going through the hole or whether he is creating turnovers. I think he speeds you guys up. I always thought, and I think I'm in the minority with this, Amir. I've always thought that Tyler Hero was a rotation guy. And I got a lot of pushback from that. I always thought that he could be one of the better rotation guards in the league. Not Manu Ginobili good, but a second unit guy that could come in, play starter minutes, and be just as productive as a starter. Play late in games. I just felt like with him being a rotation guy, he could be that spark off the bench. Problem is I felt the same way about Norman Powell. I thought so. I feel like you got 2 guys who are rotation guys. Now, you have to decide which one is going to come off the bench. And the reason why I feel like you got to decide which one is going to come off the bench, because I think that Khalil Ware I think I think he could be better than Jared Allen. I'm probably in the minority. I think he's your best rebounder. He's your best rim protector. He's one of your best finishers around the rim. When this ultimately happened, when Tyler Hero got back in the lineup, I thought it was going to be either Tyler Hero getting slowly implemented back into the lineup or Davion Mitchell going to the bench. I didn't even entertain Khalil Ware coming out of the starting lineup. That was not even a thought of mine, because I felt like with him at the 5, Bam playing the natural position of the 4, I thought that you guys would just be better offensively. You got a lob threat at the rim. You got a guy that's cleaning glass. He can help you guys play faster. He's really good in transition. I just thought that this team would just be much better if he played at the 5 and started. But I feel like you guys can figure this out, Trent, at with Tyler Hero. I just think that it's going to come down to who is going to be more comfortable being a rotation guy. Because if I'm Spo, I feel like Khalil Ware has to start, and he's got to play meaningful minutes too.
So, man, before you go real quick, I just want to throw some numbers up to you with Tyler being back and without him, right? I'll make this quick. So without Hero, 123 points per game, offense rating 116.7, defensive rating 112.4, three-point shooting was about 38%, pace 104.5, record was 11-8. Now, with him, scoring goes down by 6. It goes to 117. So not a drastic change. Offensive rating drops down to 113. Defensive rating actually goes up with Tyler being there, which is kind of crazy to me. Three-point shooting goes down, but the record is 3-3, and the pace drops down a little bit too. So the numbers are very identical. That's why I don't want to always blame this on Tyler. I think it's more than that, and I think having Khalil Ware play 12 minutes in the last game is just unacceptable, and I think we need to start throwing more things at Spo, right? But we throw the name that Spo is one of the better coaches in the NBA, and I think so far he's tinkering these rotations for no reason, and it's affecting this team so far throughout the season.
Amir, I'm tired of hearing the motor issue with Khalil Ware. I'm tired of it. And the reason why I'm tired of hearing the motor issue with Khalil is because when I see 17 and 14, when I see 20 and 13 and 3 blocks, that doesn't look like a motor issue to me. He's playing, and he's been productive as a big. So why isn't he playing more? And I can appreciate, Trent, to your point, with Tyler Hero, the numbers look identical. But I think the difference is when you got a scorer and a primary guy like Tyler Hero, when he gets back in the lineup, I think the emphasis goes to him as opposed to when he's off the floor. Like when they were playing without Tyler Hero, the offense was a lot more fluid. Andrew Wiggins was a lot better in transition. You get Tyler Hero back, now there's more of an onus on Tyler Hero. All right, we got to get him in the offense. We got to get him more involved. We got to get him the ball. And I think that your offense kind of suffers because of it. And I think that they got to get back acclimated to having him in the offense and get back to what they were doing.
Go ahead, Amir.
Hey, ChillTown, thanks for hopping on. Appreciate
What's
the time.
up, brother?
So, quick question. So, the Miami Heat are always linked to potential superstars in Wales, and looking at the rumor mill, Giannis might potentially be available. I just don't see a future with him in Milwaukee. I just don't see them having an opportunity to build a team. They don't have their draft picks. They waived and stretched Dame Lillard. So for the next 5 seasons, including this season, they have $23 million going to him off the books. So it's going to be hard to build a true contender. The Miami Heat are always linked to these superstars, and there's been new insiders and reports basically saying that they all think that if he doesn't go to the New York Knicks, that the Miami Heat would be a destination that he would be willing to go to. So what are your thoughts on Giannis? Do you think he actually will leave by the trade deadline? And do you think the Miami Heat actually have a shot? Because we're always linked to these guys, and we always seem to miss out since the last 5 years or so.
I don't think Milwaukee wants to trade him, and I don't think Giannis wants to get traded. I'm on record saying that there's going to be so much pressure from the public. I think he's going to get ran out of Milwaukee, ultimately. I do. And if there is a team that could get it done, it's Pat Riley. I mean, Martel, I know how you feel about Riles. He can fall asleep at the wheel. I mean, that's what happens when you old. But you do recognize when you see something that you can attain. And if Giannis is attainable, I mean, what's realistic? Would I hand over Ware? Would I hand over like what would it take to get Giannis into South Beach in terms of players, in terms of draft picks? Because that's what Milwaukee's going to need. Because if I'm handing over Giannis, remember, Amir, his name is the name on the moniker. right? He's the one everybody's coming to see. So essentially what I got to do if I'm handing over Giannis is I got to start over. And if I'm starting over, I got to start over with draft picks because nobody's coming to Milwaukee in free agency. It's going to be difficult to get big-time free agents in trades. So what does Miami have that is going to appease me for me to go, okay, you can have him? Is it first-round picks? How many first-round picks do they have? To your point, the $22 million that they owe Damian Lillard a year over the next 5 years. Martell, that's a mid-level exception guy and 2 vets. That's what that is. That's going to be on their books that they can't have because they're paying Damian Lillard. That kind of throws a monkey wrench in what we're trying to do. All right, so I need my draft picks. What does Miami have in terms of draft picks? If I'm anybody, if I'm moving off of Giannis, I'm calling up Oklahoma City. That's who I'm calling up. Because they got a plethora of draft picks, which is what I need, and they got a bunch of young players that I think that they would be willing to hand over. If this is going to happen, if I'm talking about Giannis, if I'm getting him from Miami, Khalil Ware has to be in the deal, Amir. He has to be. Of any of the guys that we're talking about moving off of, it has to be Khalil Ware. Khalil Ware, I think Tyler Hero, because he makes the money work. Khalil Ware's on his rook deal.
Jaime Jaquez Jr. He's on his rookie deal.
I was about to say, Martell, you might have to give me the kid. You might have to give me the kid Jaquez too. Yes, you might have to.
Yeah, but ChillTown, like, you got to look at just both sides in terms of like, okay, what does Giannis want too? Because he said he wants to be like in a big market. You know, he wants to be able to win multiple championships. But then you also have to look at the Miami Heat, which we're also going to get into like a little bit more because it's like what Trent said. If you're not going to actually play Khalil Ware, which is, I don't understand. We can't guard the 3 and we're one of the worst rebounding teams. Why aren't you playing him? And I think that you guys really hit it on with Player's Choice, saying that the numbers might not look good with Bam and Ware, but it has really nothing to do about the numbers. Bam does not want to play the 5, and obviously we're getting out rebounding, giving up too many second and third and 4 chance points. Khalil Ware has to start. So either, like, I think it really comes down to what is Pat Riley willing to part with, because I know, you know, Jovic really hasn't panned out, and, you know, Jaime's up and down and Khalil Ware's up and down, but I agree with you, ChillTown. Khalil Ware could be something like AD. Because he's athletic, he can shoot the 3, he could block shots. It's just last month he had plenty of games. You know, I mean, you guys, you know, talked about it. He had a game where he had 20 and 16, and this is and he's going up against Drummond, he's going up against Daniel Gafford, he's going up against, you know, rebounding legends in the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
I think didn't he almost have a 2020 game, Trent? A couple of weeks ago, a 2020 game.
Damn near. The funny thing is, right, ChillTown, when you look at his last 3 games, well, it's starting from November. Look at his numbers, and his minutes drastically dropped. And this is why there's a Spo problem. He had 20 and 14 against the Bulls. He had 20 and 16 against the 76ers, then 20 and 18 against the Mavericks. And that's all in a 3-game stretch. And then drastically, his minutes dropped to 12 minutes, 16 minutes. How is that possible? That's a Spo problem.
It's interesting that you bring that up because Spo is notorious. Spo is notorious for trying lineups which would cause you to lose and then get in the playoffs, and then it works. He's notorious for doing that. LeBron James is on record saying that. Dwayne Wade is on record saying that. He'll try things in the regular season to see if it works, even if you lost, and then tweak it, and then come playoff time, it'll work to your benefit. Now, I don't think that that's beneficial because Khalil Ware is one of those confidence guys. Confidence in the NBA is huge. And a guy like Khalil Ware, in terms of his confidence, I don't want to screw with that, Amir. I don't. I want to keep this guy here. I don't want to, 1 minute he's in the lineup, the next minute he's out of the lineup. I'm yanking him in and out of the lineup. 1 minute he's playing 12 minutes. The next minute he's playing 30 minutes. It kind of reminds me of the Jonathan Kuminga situation out in Golden State. Like, what are we doing with this kid? Is he our future? Is he a guy that we plan on keeping around? Is he a guy that we want to run our offense through? Is he an integral part of what we're doing? Or is he just a situational guy? Because if he's a situational guy, then we're wasting our time. We are.
And I said that. I said, yo, listen, I don't think the Giannis trade happens, but if it does, if we're not going to play him, move him off for Giannis, right? Because then, you know, that's going to be a big part of the trade. But let's get a little bit more realistic, right? Giannis is a pipe dream, in my opinion. Let me ask you a question, Chill, right? There's a lot of stars that have been brought up in the trade rumors, right? You know, the Jaws, the LaMelos, the Zions, the ADs, right? I had a show the other day with another Heat creator, and a lot of people don't like this just because he's getting older, kind of out of shape, injury prone. on a big contract, plays for Dallas. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, Anthony Davis. What's your honest opinion on AD, right? Because I honestly think AD is actually more like you could trade for him and it wouldn't be a big problem. And I think he helps his team right away. If you're not going to play where we need another big, we're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. He also still brings us scoring. What's your thoughts on that? And also, I don't think Ja gets traded this season. I think it happens next season. I think their relationship's getting a little bit better. But I love Davion. But I do think Davion, if you can't figure out this Tyler and Norm thing, especially in the playoffs, your half-court offense is a major problem, right? In the playoffs, game slows down, the pace slows, and you have to be in half-court, run sets and plays, and the Heat struggle with that. They don't even do pick and rolls, which is a simple basketball, right? So like an explosive guard like Ja Morant, does that help you, even though he's limited, with his three-point attack, with not being the greatest three-point shooter? Dude can't even hit a shot no more at this point. Can't even drive to the rim at this point. But
want that on your crew, Trent? Do you want that on your crew? Do you want that on your crew? Considering what I know what you're looking at when you look at Ja. You're looking at Ja from years ago, and you think you can get that back. And that's where I think that's where the divide is. I think that Ja, I'm not sure that we're going to get that Ja back. With that also being said, I think that we make the mistake a lot of times, and I think that's what's going on right now, like trading for Anthony Davis. I think we make the mistake of letting these guys off the hook. Martell and I have had this conversation on his show before. Yo, demand that these dudes get better, Amir. Stop letting these guys off the hook with shipping guys out. Stop letting these guys off the hook with – you see what Detroit did with Duncan Robinson. Yo, we paid you $44 million. We ain't trading you. Play better. This ain't good enough. Play better. You're telling me that you have one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Well, guess what? You got a glass cleaner on the bench. You need to play. You're one of the worst interior defensive teams in the league. Well, guess what? You got a rim protector on the bench. You need to play more. I think that we find ourselves in a space, especially because where we live now, where everything is instant, where we let these guys off the hook instead of demanding that they get better. This Miami Heat team, Amir, they're a game and a half out the 3 spot. It's not like you're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. You're a game and a half out the 3 spot, which means we're not that far off. Now, I do think that you're a Colin Sexton type of point guard away from really challenging in the East, because I do think that you're going to need some more production at the lead guard spot. But to be honest with you, Trent, I do understand your logic about, well, if we're not going to play Khalil Ware, play him. No, play him. I'm not trying to hear that. Well, if we're not going to play him, no, play him. He needs to play. There's a reason why your scout team went up to the University of Indiana and got on the telephone and called up Pat Riley and said, I think we got our 5-man. He's at the University of Indiana, 7-foot kid. His name is Khalil Ware. There's a reason why you drafted him at 14. Well, there's a motor issue. Well, we can fix that. We can 100% fix that. Or we can at least try to fix that. I think the issue that we're having is right what you just said, Trent. With Spo. I think you letting Spo off the hook with trading Khalil Ware. No, demand that he play more. Spo, this dude need to play more. This ain't good enough.
Man, y'all can go, but I called out Spo the last 3 years. I'll be honest with the last 3 years, because no one's going to do it because they just keep labeling him as, oh, he's the best. He's the best. It kind of reminds me of like LeBron in a sense. I be seeing these LeBron talks and I'm like, bro, it's okay to criticize LeBron, bro, even though he's the best. You got to criticize them at the end of the day. So I agree, man. I still like my team, but yeah, we definitely got to keep playing where. But you go, Amir.
Yeah, so speaking of playing more, like Bam Adebayo is, I think, and he's playing at an all-star level in my opinion, because he's one of the best two-way players in the NBA, but he's only playing 30 minutes per game, I just noticed, which is not a small amount of time, but LeBron James, who's only played 8 games this season, 41 years old, is averaging 34 minutes per game, and Bam Adebayo is 27, is only averaging 30. Like, Khalil needs to play more. I agree with that sentiment as well. I think Bam also needs to play more. Andrew Wiggins, who's 32 and doesn't really have a future with this team moving forward, he's playing 33 minutes. So I don't know why Spo has had moments where both Bam and Khalil have been on the bench. Same with having not. You have to always have at least a Tyler Hero, a Norm, or a Bam Adebayo out there. There's been times where and also even a Khalil Ware, and all 4 have been on the bench at times. So I don't understand that sentiment. But in general, what's like your overall evaluation of Bam Adebayo this season?
I think he's going to win the DPOY. There's a
I
lot of
hope
people
so.
there's a lot of people that like Chet, and I like Chet too. I think it's going to come down to between both him and Chet. I think that on the defensive end, he's been nothing short of fantastic. His ability to switch has been great. Not only has his ability to switch been great, I think that his on-ball defense has just been elite this year. I'm not going to argue that he's always been one of the better defensive players. Trent, I'm starting to come around. Bam reminds me of that girl that, you know what, you just got to accept who she is. Like, she ain't never going to be the 8 that you want her to be, but you could treat her like that, but she's always going to be like a 7 at best. And I'm watching Bam in the offense when y'all play against Orlando, who did a great job in transition and slowing you guys down. But watching Bam turn down wide open 17-footers to run the offense is what drives me nuts with him. He doesn't deviate away from the offense enough, because I do think that he can score the basketball. I just don't think that he deviates away from the offense enough to score. And I think that that's a big problem with him. And I kind of have to start accepting that that's who he is. I always thought that Bam was a 20 and 10 guy. At his best, he's a 22, 23 and 11 guy. But maybe Bam isn't the rebounder that I think he is, which is why Khalil Ware is there. Maybe he isn't the bucket getter that he is, which would explain why they sped up the offense. And Martel, I know that you aren't big on Jaime Jaquez, but I think Jaime Jaquez has flourished in this offense. Because
He's been solid in this offense. Yeah.
I think that I think that this offense has been beneficial to him more than anybody else because of how fast they play. He looks great in this offense. But Bam, I think that I would love for him to be a little bit more aggressive as a bucket getter, but I have to accept the fact that maybe that's just not who he is. He's more of a defensive guy who can score, and 19 to 21 a game, that's probably who he is, and I'm just going to accept that. But I'm going to get elite level defense from him. So that's who I think he is.
No, but ChillTown, like, you're right. Like, we have to demand that they be better, because you're telling me that a team with Tyler Hero, Bam, Wiggins, and Powell can't get done. Like, how are they not going to the ECF surrounded by like the best coach in the NBA? And honestly, like I said, I think our role players are pretty decent for the most part, but it's like what you said. Bam needs to be a better leader in terms of, I don't understand why they're not playing through Bam more often. I don't know if Bam needs to demand the ball. I don't know if it's Spo. I don't know if it's Davion, but especially like the other night versus Orlando, you know, he was taking Wendell Carter Jr. off the dribble and everything, and he was getting his and ones. Why are we getting away from that? You know, why are we not feeding Bam the ball? Wiggins, he's only 30 years old. He's a champion. He's a veteran. I'm going to expect him to lead this team. Now, we already know Wiggins is up and down and he's quiet, but he's no scrub. He's far from a scrub. Same thing with Powell and Tyler. Yeah, they might give you those, you know, 6-man vibes, but I just think that we have a real good shot to go to the Eastern Conference Finals when I think this is one of the best teams on paper we've ever had. So who do you think?
Have you? It's interesting you bring that up too, Trent. I mean, Martel, because have you seen a season, Trent, where the 7 seed, you wouldn't be surprised if they was in the NBA championship in the Eastern Conference? Have you seen a season where you wouldn't be surprised if the 8 seed or the 6 seed was in the NBA championship? This is one of those seasons where I would not be surprised if I saw Atlanta and Miami in the East Finals. That would not bug me out. I would not be surprised if I saw Cleveland and Detroit, or if I saw Atlanta and Milwaukee. That would not surprise me, because I feel like the East, to my point earlier, you know, he are a game and a half out the 3 spot. And if you end up getting hot and you end up rolling, I mean, this is a group that the way that they play, Trent, I don't buy into that ideology that, you know, when the playoffs start, the game slows down. We could keep playing fast. We could keep playing fast. They don't have to allow teams to slow them down. I thought Orlando did a good job because their transition defense was great. I mean, when that ball came off the glass, I mean, they had 5 guys touching the paint, 5 of them. I think that was a point of emphasis for Orlando. But I think that with this Miami Heat team, I think that we're talking about a group, especially with Andrew Wiggins, who was the same age as Jimmy Butler was when y'all got him. Like, he's not like he's washed or he's on the other. No, he's still in his prime. I think this is a Miami Heat team with the way that they play, how good that front line can be. I think that they can make some. I do think they can make some real noise. I do. I don't like your point guard situation in terms of Davion Mitchell being a bucket getter. That's where my issue is, because I realized that in today's game that you have to be able to score it at the lead guard spot. You don't got to average 30. I'm not saying that part, Amir, but like 10, as a starting lead guard, 10, 12, that's not good enough if you're trying to go deep into the playoffs, because you're going to run into crews like the Knicks with Jalen Brunson, who's a bucket getter. You're going to run into Cleveland with Darius Garland, who is also a bucket getter. You're going to run into Cade, who is a bucket getter. In 12, 14, that's not going to get it done. I need more from you at that league off spot as a bucket getter. That's why I'm a little apprehensive about the Miami Heat going deep into the playoffs.
Now, chill. I heard you say one point guard that I think is disgusting, who I just refuse to say he's a bucket getter, and Darius Garland. Darius Garland is awful. Y'all actually gonna have to.
He's been awful this season, and I think him coming off an injury, I think that with him coming off of injury, he hasn't been nearly as efficient. But when he is, I mean, he's a 20 a game guy. He 100%. I think that foot injury that he had last season, I think it's a lot worse than what they told us, and I think he's really struggling with that. I think it's his mobility has really hampered his ability to get downhill, his inability to get downhill, and it's affected his efficiency. But when he's healthy, he's a 19 to 22 a game guy. He is definitely a bucket getter, no doubt about that. This season, on the other hand, no, absolutely not. No.
It's funny you brought him up, though, because I was going to ask you a question actually regarding him, because I would be like, yo, who's like not straight up better, but like who would you rather have on your team and is a better fit in Davion and Garland? But you think he's a bucket getter, and I'm not a fan of him right now because he called out Tyler last postseason. Whoever, you know what I'm saying, calling out my guys, I'm riding behind them too. That's like we riding behind them. You know what I mean? Because like if you a diehard fan, just like the LeBron fans, we riding behind them. And I'm not the biggest Tyler fan. I'm not. If people know, I want him off my team. But if I'm repping you, I'm repping Tyler. But either way, though, let me ask you this question. My last few questions. One, I want to talk about Jovic because he hasn't been discussed in this panel right here, and that's a big problem, right? We just paid him $60+ million, right, for a dude that plays. He can't play. He's in DMPs. But also, too, the Cup is today, and I'm sure people are going to watch it, right? The Orlando Magic versus the Knicks, and then we got the Spurs and OKC. I just kind of want to get your predictions and who wins it all in both games. So first, how do you feel about Jovic and then the Cup?
Jovic hasn't. I'm more. I feel like the Heat, even though they did pay Jovic, and I thought Spo and being in Europe over the summer at the Eurobasket, I thought he was really invested in Jovic, and I thought that this was going to be really good this year. But what's the kid's name, Martel, that you got from Illinois, the point guard?
Pelle Larson.
I think
Kasper Siakam. Yes, he should be playing right now. He should be playing right now.
I think they've really invested in him. I do. But as far as Jokic, he can't consistently knock down open shots. He can't guard, which drives me crazy. And at 6'9", he doesn't rebound.
6'10".
That drives me crazy. He doesn't rebound. That's one of the main reasons why I don't think that he's on the floor. That's one of the main reasons why. Because that's basically Spo's way. If you're going to play for Spo, you got to do one of these three things. You got to be able to score it, you got to defend, or you got to rebound. If you don't do one of those three things, you're not going to play. It's just that simple. And I feel like this kid Jokic, I feel like he's kind of taken a step back in terms of the offense, and it's really hampered his game. Now, as far as the Cup, I think without France, I'm going to take the Knicks over Orlando. I think that Jalen Brunson, Suggs is going to give him trouble, but I think he's going to be able to overcome that trouble. I think Mikal Bridges is going to be a big problem for Orlando and for that unit. And I think that Mike Brown is going to have to dig deeper into his bench and go with those big guys and Huckaporty, and I got to make sure I say his name right. Diate, is that his name? Him. If he can do that, I think that the Knicks beat Orlando. And I'm on record saying it, Trent, Amir, this Oklahoma City team look like a 2-mile freight train with no brakes. That's what they look like. And you just in the way, to be honest with you. And whoever's in the way, you just getting ran over. I don't have them smoking San Antonio tonight, but I think that they handle them, not by a double-digit margin. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 12-15, even with Wemby back in the lineup. I think that they handle them.
You know the scary thing about OKC too is you brought up the Giannis trade. So they can trade for any player they want, any superstar player they want, right? Because they have all the pieces and the young guys. But not only that, they have the Clippers' next 2 picks, which the Clippers are a disaster. They're going to fall off the rails.
Oh, my God.
Right? So now they have a top lottery pick in this next year's draft. And the Clippers are only going to get worse the season after that. So then they're going to have another lottery pick. And this team's just going to keep generating good players. AJ Mitchell didn't even play last year due to injuries, one of their better players. It just shows you the development of these guys. So I think OKC is going to be taking over this league for a while, and it's unfortunate for my Heat team because there's no way if we're trying to win the East and then get to the championship, we are getting absolutely steamed, or I don't care what anybody says. They're just unstoppable. But
Martell, I'm going on record and I'm saying it. The Clippers are winning the lottery this year. Oklahoma City is going to have the number 1 pick in the draft. The Clippers are going to win the lottery.
We shall see. Now, close us out, Amir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is off topic, Chill, because I think I saw a clip of you saying that you thought Kobe was not a top 10 greatest of all time player, and I actually agree with that, and I get a lot of slack for that because I'm in California. A lot of my friends are Laker fans, but I agree with that sentiment. But Bill Simmons, Nick Wright basically recently said they think that Curry and Kobe is a closer conversation than people want to admit. So what are your thoughts on that?
Curry and I do have them right next to each other. I got Bryant at 11 and I got Curry at 12. But I think there's a gap between those two guys. I don't think that they are as close as people think that they are. And I think the separator for me is on defense. I think Bryant was just dominant. I think he was elite on defense. I think that in terms of him being a scorer, I think that goes without saying. But I think that he affected the game so much on the defensive end as an on-ball defender, as a weak side defender. I just think that he commanded so much attention that's the separator. He never got hunted on defense. He competed on defense. There was very little mismatches. I think that they're both great players within their right, but I think that there's a gap between both Bryant and Steph Curry.
Yeah, I think I have Kobe at 11 myself. I don't know where I have Steph yet because he's still looking amazing even at 37 years old. And I don't think the Warriors can win a championship unless everything goes right because the West is a gauntlet and OKC are on this historic race right now that I don't see anybody beating them anytime soon. They might even beat the Golden State record and win 74 games, which would be absurd. But anyway, thank you so much, ChillTown, for joining us today. Really appreciate the time. And again, before we hop off, do you want to remind the audience again where they can find your content?
Absolutely, guys. It's ChillTown Hoops. You guys can find me on TikTok 9 a.m. every morning, Monday to Friday. And if I'm not there, you can find me on the Players Choice Network on the panel from 11 to 2 Eastern time. If you can't find me there, you can find me on ChillTown Hoops right here on YouTube on the ChillTown Hoops Network. Me and my man Tony Tone, we do it on Tuesday nights. If you can't find me there, you can find me on the Players Choice Network again on Saturday afternoon. Me and my man Big Ox, we do Chill with Chill. So I'm not hard to find. It was great to be here, guys. It was great to talk Miami Heat basketball. You guys know where to find me if you need me, but I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. And also, yeah, make